Fala pessoal, tudo bem? Começando mais um episódio do PartnerCast. Quero agradecer a você que tem acompanhado a gente, dado ali diversos feedbacks sobre os conteúdos. Então, de novo, agradecer pela sua audiência, agradecer por estar podendo juntos construir o ecossistema. Agradecer também aos nossos patrocinadores, Partner PRM. Então, se você está buscando uma solução de PRM para o seu negócio, o link está aqui na descrição para você acompanhar com a gente. E também não deixe de acompanhar as principais notícias no Partner News, a nossa central aí de artigos, conteúdos e muita coisa vai acontecer esse ano, então não deixe de se inscrever, o link também vai estar aqui na descrição. Hoje é um episódio especial, nosso primeiro episódio full English, e a gente tem um convidado muito especial, Martyn Boddy, está aqui com a gente. Now switch to English, I want to invite Martyn to come here with us. Martyn, welcome to PartnerCast, it's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Martyn, first of all, please introduce yourself for our audience. It's great to have you here. Please tell me a little about you, about your experience.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm Martyn Boddy. I've worked in the e-commerce industry now for about a little under 20 years, focused in e-commerce platforms for the last 12 years, but also have a background in payments and payment gateways and banking side of payments within the e-commerce industry as well. So primarily in partnerships, a lot of time in e-commerce. I'm currently based in Los Angeles, but will be based in New York very soon.
Great, thank you. Martyn, for started, for an e-commerce platform, when was the moment that you understand that you need to build an ecosystem partner? What the moment you saw, I need partners to help me grow. I need partners to help me grow my business, grow the platform. What was the moment where you switched to that?
Yeah, this actually happened early on in my e-commerce career. So I was working for HSBC, the bank, and I was selling merchant services around London. So selling to bars, restaurants, stores, businesses in the city of London back in around 2008. And the e-commerce experience in 2008 was not what it is today. Like, it was not, as the UX was not very good. The experiences weren't what we are used to in 2026. And I, at that time, was trying to understand, like, what was that connection between a business who was a retailer and having, the payments on their website with a strong UX and UI. Like, what was the technology behind it? So I actually did some research with a couple of brands or merchants at the time, and basically called them, said, hey, I'm from HSBC. I'd love to understand more of your technology stack. Just how do you do this? This was almost 20 years ago now. And they told me about payment gateways. They told me about a payment gateway called SagePay, and they had an iframe, which basically captured the payment data within the website, which was designed on a different platform. At the time, Magento was becoming a bit of a thing. And that sort of opened up my mind to, okay, to be able to deliver, great experiences for your consumer, it's not just one technology. It's several businesses, it's several technologies. And what's actually really important is how well do they work together?
Great. And what's the difference for you having a partner program and building an ecosystem? How do you connect all of this?
I think it depends on the technology you're representing and how your end client sees that technology. So in ecosystems, you generally have the hub partner. So like that central partner who will maybe own the app store. And then you have your spoke partners, which are typically ISV partners or tech partners, as we more typically call them.
Agencies
do the building, and the tech partners extend from a technology perspective. So larger technologies like a Shopify or a Magento or a Salesforce, they're a hub. They're generally the central nervous system to how a business uses technology. And then the partners around that both extend that technology through different apps or extensions. And then the agencies often put it all together and build the bespoke technology stack per client. So some technologies just need a partner program, and other technologies have that responsibility of owning the ecosystem and understanding we need multiple different partner types to actually lift everything up together.
Great. And how did you decide which partner type to focus first? You told us about be the core, and you got tech partners to grow your platform, and agents to build. But how do you decide how to focus first?
Yeah.
And when you're building the program, and how you define I need to focus on this and build a value proposition for kind of partner.
Right. It's often both at the same time. So rather than say I need to tackle this group and then this group, it's more about thinking what is the product market fit that the technology I'm representing has. So if you think of Shopify back in 2015 or 2016, the product itself, it spoke to a specific audience. It spoke to the SMB audience, and then up to a certain point towards enterprise, but not the true enterprise as it's talking to today. So at that time, you needed digital agencies or service partners that also spoke to that audience, but not the ones who spoke to the super enterprise, because they couldn't use your technology. And you also needed technologies like your app partners who also focused on that smaller size of business, but not those apps who spoke to the super enterprise. So it's really identifying, based on what segment of the market your product wants to talk to today, and then who else is needed to build that message to those partners. And of course, as your own product evolves, the types of partners you need to work with evolves and matures too. So it's an ever growing thing.
Yeah, great. Identify your customer, and then you identify your partner.
Right.
Great. Love that. How do you connect today the product, AI, and partnership? How you're looking for all of this today, and how to connect all?
Yeah.
How are you looking at in the future?
I think today where we are with AI and partnerships is still very early. There are tools out there that can help facilitate partnerships in the way of sending data from an agency to a technology company and out to an ecosystem. But typically in the past, the operations of partnerships work has been very, very manual. So if you think of all of the sales tools that are available for direct sales, hundreds, if not thousands, they're very easily invested in by a CRO, because the direct sale is the sale that you have more control of. The indirect sale through a partner, you have less control, because that partner is influencing the message and so on. So the technology investment just hasn't been as strong in partner technology as it has in sales technology, but that's rapidly changing. So I think where we are right now is making sure that you're using the right kind of partnership tools so that you can capture all of the data you need in terms of your prospect and customer data, but all of the data in terms of partner performance. Just make sure you can capture it, because I think as AI evolves, technology is in constant change.
Yeah,
data stays the same. We might have more data, we might have less data, we might start ignoring some data, but data will always remain the same. So as soon as you can get your data in order and use AI tools to capture that data from your partners, the better. And that's where I would start today.
Great. I like what you said. And for you, what is the right data to know about my partner? To define the EPP, the ideal partner profile. For you, what's the right data? I need to know about this, and this about my partner. For you, what is?
Yeah. You have to have your basics. So you need all of your sales and marketing performance data. So how are you qualifying your inbound leads for partners? How are you qualifying leads you're sending out to partners? What is the success rate of those deals? What is the time to close? So just what is the quality of the overall sales pipeline that you can receive from partners? Same with marketing pipeline too. is this a partner who can generate a lot of accounts or contacts for you, but maybe isn't as strong as closing the deals, or vice versa? So having that, sales ops data tight it's critical. Like, you have to understand that. But that really is, to me, step one. You've got to get that done. More importantly for me is around performance. So what I see happening, certainly with AI, is that tools are going to become more and more available to more and more businesses, whether you're a retailer or a brand or a digital agency or an ISV technology or an e-commerce platform. It doesn't matter who you are, you're getting more and more tools every day. So the standard of work should be going up, it should be increasing. So you need to actually track performance of your partners in terms of how successful their product or their services is. So not just how good are they at sales. Sales is obviously very important. But I think the emphasis on sales is going to decrease in the future, and more emphasis is going to be on the quality of the work that is done between the partnerships. So does Shopify plus this technology mean better client results than Shopify plus this competing technology? That's important, because for Shopify or Adobe or Salesforce, it's the strength of your ecosystem that's going to push you ahead of your competitors, and you've got to make sure your ecosystem is strong, and that strength is determined by how successful your mutual clients are.
Great. I love all of that. And with your comments, I saw a lot of connection with the sales team and partnership.
Yeah.
For you, how important it is have your sales team with your partner and the relationship with that?
Yeah, I prefer when that's in strong sync. So the sales team understand what their role is, the partner team understands what their role is. They can work together on deals. They're both credited with those deals along with the agency or the other partner involved. Like, that works well. So everyone's very clear on what their roles and responsibilities are and how they are going to be compensated as individuals within the business. Now, the reality within business is a CRO won't often like to say, well, why am I paying a partner commission? And why am I paying a partner manager commission? And why am I paying a sales manager commission? Because what that says to me is my profit margin is just decreasing all the time. And they are right.
Yeah.
And I think that what needs to be taken more into account is segmentation of value and complexity of deals. So there are some deals out there that a partner could source themselves, sell the license for the technology themselves, do the work, build technology, and ongoing manage the client all themselves. And that might be quite a simple client. If you think of Shopify for the example again, at the very beginning of Shopify, when you're thinking of SMB, you might have a web developer who works with a very small brand, who builds the entire site, signs them up for Shopify, launches the site, the brand pays them, and Shopify don't even know. Shopify just get a new account. That's great business. It's great business for Shopify. It's great for the client. It's great for the partner. But as you get more and more complex, things turn on their head. You need to actually sell the product. You need to be scoping the product, which will be done by the technology or the agency. You need to be building the site. The sales cycle might take 6 to 9 months because there are competitors involved. So I think it's understanding where your line is between when should it exclusively be a partner, just doing everything themselves, and when do we need to bring the team in? And if you're bringing the team in, make sure that you're enabling that team to really work well together as a team to get projects over the line and successfully built, and make sure you're compensating the people involved.
Great. I agree. And what do you think about partner sources? Everything that partner referred to the technology. I use, for example, Shopify. I'm a partner. I'm bringing out opportunity for Shopify Plus, for example. Mm-hmm. How you saw the difference between the source that the partner bring the deal and the influence the partner in the revenue?
Yeah,
because there's some kind of deals that the partner is 100% influence, but he's not the owner of the deal.
Right.
He refer that. how you divide that, because you got the partner, you got the sales team, and everyone to want to close the deal.
Yeah, this so this is getting a lot easier, but I've been doing this for a long time, and it would always be a conversation between sales and partnerships and the partners involved of, well, I sourced the deal. Well, you would not have been able to source the deal if you didn't have the partnership with us. But I was the sales rep on the deal and I closed the deal. But you only closed the deal because you worked. So there's all of these different factors involved. It's what we call multi-touch attribution. So who's getting the attribution of this deal closing? And the reality is, if we're selling within an ecosystem, there are many partners involved. And for the longest of time, the only partner that would receive credit would be the partner who sourced the deal originally. So the first person in the system, because that was the only outcome systems would allow.
Okay.
Now there are technologies that allow multiple partners to submit the same deal to a Shopify, for example, and a technology can actually attribute different levels of influence on that deal to being closed, and then you can weight it accordingly. So you could say, if I win a project that's worth $100,000 and the partner commission that I'm going to pay out is 10%. So I'm going to give away $10,000. You could say this partner receives 20%, this partner receives 40% because they built the site. These two partners receive 10 and so on because they're critical technologies of getting this over the line, and actually credit multiple partners along the way. So I think that in e-commerce, especially, no brand is buying any technology completely in a vacuum. There's always something else involved. We might not know what it is. Like they might not think to tell us because they're not connecting it to our eyes, but there's always someone else involved. And the more you can understand that as, the owner of your own partner program, helps you make decisions on where you should be investing in your program. Because again, understanding that is data. To understanding this is actually what makes me successful, rather than saying, this agency referred it to me, I'm only paying them, I don't want to hear about anything else, which was the past. Take all the data, because you might unearth partners who actually really, really help you close deals. And you might see, if this partner's involved, my close rate's 60%. And when they're not involved, my close rate is 30%. You want to understand that partner better. What's happening? It's like delivering a better experience to your prospect. So
why partner is so much better, huh?
Right. And we haven't really had that data in the past, but being able to capture that now, I work with my team, and we just had management meetings this week, and we talk about how do we capture all of that data so that when we go into our planning for 2027, we are much more certain on where we should be investing, because we know what works rather than just guessing.
Great. I love that. And I love the connection you're bringing with data, the sales team, the ops team, and partner. For you, Martyn, what were the core pillars of the program from day one? If think with me, someone is hearing us now and are building the program, what did the first principle, the pillar one, you need to know, to see, to build, and look for? Data.
So, obviously data for everything. But so understanding your actual objectives and getting the right buy-in from the other people who are critical within your business. So your CRO is obviously a main one. CMO is a key figure too. CEO, depending on the size of the business, typically. Head of merchant success, or CCO, Chief Customer Officer. They are people who are important to all partner programs, but the partner program isn't critical to their day-to-day life. So making sure that you have alignment with those people of the intentions of the program. And sometimes within a business, the intention might just be, let's make a lot of money quickly.
Normally, that happens a lot.
It happens a lot. It happens a lot in 0 to 1. It's like, we got to get moving quickly because we need this to enable us to get to the next phase of our business. It's perfectly fine. Some businesses are and this is one of the reasons I joined Shopify, we want to build for the long term, and we see this as being a 100-year company. Very, very different approaches. Partnerships can support either, and understanding what and having that clarity of what the actual goal is and making sure the C-suite are aligned on that goal is obviously critical. If the goal is more financially focused, you build a certain type of program and look for certain types of partners, and you're usually heading towards a deadline of, we need to do X amount of revenue by Y date. If you're playing more of the longer game, never take your eye off customer success. Like, the strength of your program is only going to be as strong as the portfolio of mutual clients. So one thing, a version of my approach, I think, at Shopify was, if I'm looking at my investments of where I train my partner managers on, or how I go to market, or like how I reward certain partners, etc., and so on, I would look at it as a scale of, I could invest 100% in sales and marketing and customer acquisition, or I could invest 100% in customer success and client success. They're the two things. If I go 100% customer success, it's going to grow really, really slowly. If I invest 100% in sales and marketing, it's going to grow really quickly, but then the product's going to be terrible and it will die. So I always had this sort of scale in my mind of, I will never invest more than 49% in sales and marketing. Like, the majority will always be in customer success, and the needle will move here, because we wanted to make sure, what was very important to me at the time was that businesses that were with Shopify and with the Shopify partner community were more successful than those who were not. That was very important to me. I will be more successful if I am in this program than if I'm not in this program. And I wanted to be able to say that to merchants and prospects. This is why we build. So they're some of the things that I would look at and think about doing first.
Great. For you, how much time is necessary to scale a program? In your vision, I don't know, about Shopify and Adobe.
It can vary. So one thing that I did learn at Shopify,
just to connect a little more.
Yeah.
And just like you told you, sometimes we have the C-level team with us. I want some money. I want to scale and fast. And in your vision, how much time is necessary? Let's do the right job here. Let's build something, a long-term journey.
Yeah. I mean, you need to have proof that what you're building actually works to be able to scale it. So that takes a bit of time. You've got to have your partners on deals together. I'm just going to close this curtain because the sun's just come out.
Don't worry.
There we go. That's a lot better. So you have to have a bit of time to make sure that the program you're building is actually successful. And that success really comes from, all your mutual clients being successful. But an approach that you should take is, if I'm going to build something, so if I'm going to build some partner ops, or if I'm going to put a program together, or if I'm going to create like an MDF fund, marketing development funds program, can I scale this the way I'm building it today? Or is what I'm doing very bespoke? Because I might be doing this for 1 or 2 partners today, but I need to approach the build of that so that it could be scaled to 1,000 partners. Because what I don't want to do is have to scrap work and start again. So it's about building the right framework so that you can scale it. And scaling quickly it's not just partnerships, it's a combination of sales, the marketing team, the partnerships team, the customer success team, and creating that story together as to why this program is, as I mentioned before, a place where your prospects want to be. Like, do your prospects want to be here, or do they see it as a roadblock? And sometimes they can see it as a roadblock. So how do you create that environment? And that's different for each business.
Great. Love that. And for you, connecting with the roadblock that you said, what was the biggest problem that you find in Shopify, Adobe, and other companies that block you to build a strong partnership program?
I think to go back to executive alignment, it's something which, it's not a one and done thing. It's not, okay, we have the meeting, we agree, off we go forever. It's something which needs constant attention, because you need alignment with your key buyers within your business, so the CMO, the CEO, the CRO, etc. But their directions also change. They have to focus on other things, and you need to make sure that you always have that alignment, because suddenly you might find yourself out of step with marketing, for example. You start telling a different message to the audience, which can become jarring because you have one voice coming from the company and another voice coming from the partner community, and it can cause issues. So I think that, making sure that you check in on that at least once a quarter. Like, are we still aligned? Is this still the vision? And this the goal? Does this make sense? Yes. Okay, let's meet up again at the beginning of next quarter and say, are we still here? So I think there can be blockers that that the head of partnerships, I believe, needs to take care of, because it's not really on the CRO or the CMO to come to partnerships and tell them. It's on the partner person to take that information from them.
Okay, great. And about you, what were your biggest mistake being a partner manager and talking with partners? What the big mistake that you did that you said one day, my God, what I did now?
Oh, wow, big mistake. I would say there was this one time when I was led to believe, or maybe I was confused, that we had launched a product internally. So I took that immediately and ran with it in the market of, okay, let's start enabling partners on our product. I want to sell this. Like, it sounds amazing. Let's take it to market. And in reality, that product wasn't as baked as it should have been and wasn't ready for the partner audience. So we had to do some backtracking on that. So I would say, and I would say this to anyone who's looking to work in partnerships: understand your product, understand how the end user, the merchant, the brand, whoever, understand what they get out of your product. Like, what value does it add to their business? Is it critical to the running of their business or not? How do you sell it? How does it work? Like, you really need to understand your own product so that you can tell the story an agency needs to hear about the product, or the story a brand needs to hear about the product, or the story a CMO, the technology company, needs to hear about your product. Because if you get that right, other things will be easier in terms of partnering.
Great. I love your advice. And what was your big goal, like a program manager? You bring us the mistake, and what was your big goal now?
I would say that one of my biggest achievements was really launching the Shopify Plus partner program, which, I joined Shopify in early 2016, and we launched the program in June 2016, and it became super successful and kind of a benchmark within the e-commerce industry for what partnerships should look like. So, very proud of that, and super proud of all of the team who worked on that with me. And it became a very large team in the end. And many of them are still with Shopify. Many of them have moved on to senior roles within the e-commerce industry, and it's really nice to see.
Great. I already studied about Shopify Plus program, and congratulations about that. It's a real big benchmark from us. But for you, for Shopify Plus, what was the game changer for the program, the product, the team, the benefit? What was the big game changer for you and for your partners?
Yeah, it was, going back to product market fit. When I joined Shopify Plus, I was already established in the e-commerce industry. So I knew a lot of technologies and I knew a lot of digital agencies already. And for me, I wanted to align those agencies whose own product, the services work they do and their go-to-market was aligned with the Shopify product. And in the Magento world, you have a big breadth of types of agencies that work with them. Typically, it's SIs, so it's typically system integrators because of the nature of the Magento product. At the time when the Shopify Plus partner program launched, SIs weren't really needed. It was a SaaS technology. You couldn't extend it as much as you can today by any means, like it's come a very long way. So the SIs didn't really need to work with Shopify, and it was much more about a UX, UI, design, marketing agency, like who could really work well with that product. So, making sure that we aligned with the right kind of partners was critical. And I would talk a lot about philosophical alignment with partners. So do you have the same philosophy on e-commerce as we do? Like, do you see this as, lowering the barrier of entry for brands to actually be able to do work is important, or do you not? And, some people did not, and they're very heavy technologists and wanted to build, which I totally respect too. I think I've answered your question. I may have gone off track a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah,
it's great and helped me a lot. Thank you very much. We have a lot of people here that listen to us that start in a program or want to scale the program that they got today. You talk about the importance of data, about being connection with team, be connected with partner, but how you look the benefit? We got product market fit, we have partner program fit, but the benefit for the partner, how much for you? How much is important for the program?
It's absolutely important. This is a partnership, so we need to be very clear on what each partner is getting out of it. So what does
for context to you, I already listened from partners here. I don't want the commission. It's not important for me. Yeah. I want new merchants on my base. Yeah. Okay, great, but I have that for you.
Right.
Did you already read that and hear that? And how you see? Sorry.
No, it's, I think it's having an honest conversation with yourself about how much can your business actually influence a decision like that. So depending on what technology you're representing, you may or may not be able to introduce clients to agencies. Sometimes you can, like an e-commerce platform, an ERP, for an example, they definitely can introduce agencies because those agencies are critical to the success of that technology. But more, smaller technologies that don't have as big of an impact on a brand's business, maybe they can't, but they still want agencies to actually recommend their technology and so on. And you're right on the rev share, some smaller, younger agencies, like it's a great fund to receive where they can perhaps put into marketing or so on to brand themselves, spend it over there. The larger agencies, the numbers aren't big enough to really have an impact, on the P&L of the agency's business. It's going to be tiny down there, so it doesn't really make much difference. And then there's the space in between. So I think, being transparent on whether you can actually bring clients to the agency or not is first key. And if you can't, which a lot of technologies can't, what are you actually going to do in that partnership? So sometimes, you need to think, who's more influential over our mutual audience, me or my partner? Like, who's more influential? Like, Shopify is more influential than any agency they work with. But Google's arguably more influential than Shopify, and so on. So there's a chain of influence that goes down. And just understanding where you are in that chain, being able to, and if you're wanting to partner with someone who has more influence than you need to be really creative over what you can provide. So a technology product company typically should have a bigger marketing budget than a digital agency because the margins are all different. Services companies are very different from product companies. So how can you use that marketing budget with your agency partner to help present them in a different light to attract clients together mutually? Or if that agency is partnering also with a bigger technology, have to be involved in market, do partner marketing between the three of them. I think being really creative with how you maybe can help drive revenue towards that agency is key. And if you can't drive clients to the agency, are they able to have billable hours based on your technology? So if there's like strategy work, implementation, integration work that your technology is part of, great. Like, they need that. How do they do that? What does a typical engagement look like? Is it 20 hours of work and that's it done? Is it 10 hours of work a month? Like, what are those programs that you can say to agencies, if you do this kind of work for your clients with our technology, you can bill them hours, but you can bill them because it actually improves their business from a customer retention, acquisition, whatever that your technology does. So building out those service areas for the agency.
Great. I love that point, Martyn. Thank you so much. And change a little the subject. For you, how you see partnership and ecosystem for the next 5 years? We have a lot of change. We'll talk about that with AI, but how you see the next 5 years? What can we expected from partnerships and programs and ecosystem? Everything is connected, how you said. But for the next 5 years, with now the job you are working today and every change we are seeing every day with AI.
Yeah, I think to say it again, AI is going to be, it's still kind of the big unknown. There's the various different AI tools. We're seeing like Base 44 and Lovable, for vibe coding and such. Who I'm sure I've seen that they're both hiring in like partnerships roles. How are they seeing what is a partnership role? Like, what does Lovable think partnerships are? I haven't spoken to them yet, so I don't know.
I never asked ChatGPT about that too.
Yeah, let's just ask them direct, or someone might tell us. But I think what does a partnership actually mean in the future? And we can look at like integration partnerships, two technologies together. Is that just going to be done by AI? Maybe. Might you be able to plug in and deplug and go over here in seconds because of vibe coding and so on? Maybe. So that might disappear. I don't know. How do companies that aren't AI businesses partner with the AI companies? What does that look like? Do you have a product which could be valuable for your customer to be shown within, by an agent in a certain LLM? Like, do you have a client who's like, I want to understand what this technology does through the channel of AI? So that's something which we all need to pay very, very close attention to. But again, the currency for AI companies is data. That's it. Like, they need as much data as they can get so that their models can be as comprehensive and effective as they can be. So they need the data. So if you're a business where you do have data and first-party data, like if you own that data, you're going to be in a better position than if you do not. So in terms of leverage within partnerships, data is going to become more and more critical. So capture as much as you can legally.
Great. Great. And that's important.
Mm-hmm.
And for an example, I got a company. I got no data. What's the best way to collect them? Content, marketing. What is your opinion? I want something about my partner, my merchant. What's your opinion? How to collect that data?
Yeah, I think it depends on what you do. Like, you need to be providing a tool or a product to your audience where they would be willing and understanding of why they should be providing you the data. So does your client or your partner providing you this data make their experience with your product better? And if it doesn't, then they have no reason to, unless you're going to pay for it. So like, you're building a product. You need data to be able to make your product work. And then it's on you building the product to say, by you providing me with this, I'm going to take your experience from a 1 to a 10. Like, and then, they're legally providing that with you because you're using their data in a way which is beneficial to them first. So the customer first, but of course, you're capturing the data too. And hopefully you're looking at that data internally to be able to constantly improve your own product and make that better so that those customers want to stay with you and others want to join you. So that's going to be different for every organization, but communicating that is key.
Great. Remember, everyone, Trust the data.
Trust the data.
And Martyn, for you, how important was to listen to partners when you were building the Shopify Plus program, building the product? How important was to you listen to partners, show them, and bring them to help the build the product?
For me, very important. I think this varies from business to business. Some people are very, singularly minded and want to build their own product, and other organizations and individuals like to take in as much knowledge as possible. For me, it's very important, especially with agency partners, because they see a side of the client that the product companies don't generally see. Like, they are there when things are amazing, and they are there when things are very bad. So they have to have a much deeper insight as to what the mutual client's business operations look like. So the technology company can actually learn a lot from the agency, and should. I think, though, at the same time, it's a two-way street. The agency partners should also be listening to the technology. And, I've had a lot of conversations in my career where I've spoken with agencies, and the conversation is basically, where are my leads? Where is my business? And, my conversation should be about, what is our joint go-to-market proposition, our joint value proposition? Like, what does us together actually mean? Because if we can't have that conversation and agree upon what that is, I can't send you any clients. I don't know why I'm sending them to you, sorry. So having those conversations of, this is why we partner together, and then selling that message both internally within the agency, internally with the technology company, and then externally from a partner marketing perspective, is really what the foundation of the partnership should be.
Amazing. I love that. Martyn, for everyone that are listening to us now, if you can give a tip, one book, resource, a website, what kind of tip did you give it to us? Do that, or listen PartnerCast first of all.
Listen to PartnerCast. Yeah, that's the first one. I have to admit, I don't really read business books. I know I should, but it's just never like, I don't know.
Doesn't have to be a book, okay?
Maybe I'll try. I think what's really important is understand how everything works. So if you're speaking, if you want to go work for a new technology, or you're thinking of going to a digital agency, like, understand how the product works. Understand what it means to the end client. Like, having a true understanding of that will sort of open your mind to think, okay, I influence the prospect in this way. All of these other technologies or influencers influence in this other way. I need to work with them. I need to partner with them. I need to understand it. And if you don't understand why your customer would want your product, you're in the wrong place. You need to have that good product knowledge and understand what it actually means in the market. And something I would always say to people on my team is, strategy discussions, problem solving, whatever it may be, like, my response is, I always will start with, you don't need to have the answer, but you have to have an opinion. And if you don't have an opinion on this conversation, it means you don't understand what we are doing here. So make sure you have an opinion. If you are looking at two competing technologies, which one do you think is best? Do you understand why you think it's best? If you went to work for the technology which you thought was weaker, why would you do that? Like, do you understand why you would go there? Who would you be focusing and targeting on? So really authentically understanding the why is the product important to the end customer is key. And if you don't understand it, it's not the company for you.
Whoa, amazing. I love that, Martyn. Wow, thank you so much for your time, for your presence here. It was amazing talk to you. Many insights, and the last minute is for you. Thank you, everyone. So it's your time now. Be available.
Great. Well, firstly, thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed this. Apologies, the sun came blaring in halfway through.
Don't worry.
But yeah, I've worked in partnerships for a very, very long time now. I was actually in partnerships in the financial services industry before even e-commerce. So it's like over 20 years now. And you have to love it. Like to be able to work in this space, we're very lucky. They're very creative jobs. You get to work with very creative people. And, it's fun to represent a good product and a strong product in the market. So if you're good at what you do, or if you have a desire to be great at what you do, continue to learn about the product and continue to learn about why does the market need your product. And also remember, the market might change, your product might change, so you just have to be comfortable with where you are. And I'm pretty comfortable with where I am.
Great. Thank you, Martyn. Thank you so much for having you here. Again, amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for having you here. It was amazing. I hope you liked that episode. Now switching to Portuguese. Obrigado, pessoal. Espero que vocês tenham gostado. Baita conteúdo aqui. E fiquem de olho toda terça-feira, um novo episódio aqui no PartnerCast. Vejo vocês na próxima. Até.